And if he likes you, then you'll be a real masseuse.
Virginia Giuffre. The most famous victim of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal was not only a whistleblower, she was also the nightmare of a powerful network behind the billionaire. In April 2025, Virginia suddenly passed away, leaving behind a painful void and countless questions hanging in the sky of justice. But before closing her eyes, she managed to sew the last pieces of the puzzle. Clues that could break the wall of silence, exposing the dark secrets that Epstein thought he had taken to the grave. What are those secrets will they reveal? The Epstein-Maxwell criminal empire? Or will they make the whole world tremble with the truth? Virginia Giuffre, from young Mar-a-Lago, employee to icon of justice. The story begins in 2000, the day Virginia Giuffre stepped into the spa at the Mar-a-Lago resort owned by President Trump. At that time, she was just a naive 16-year-old girl dreaming of an honest job. But a fateful meeting changed her life forever. Ghislaine Maxwell, a powerful and luxurious woman, appeared promising Virginia a high-class massage job and the opportunity to travel the world. Little did she know it was a door leading straight to hell, where Jeffrey Epstein was waiting. Politico notes, Maxwell noticed Virginia reading a book about massage at Mar-a-Lago and introduced her to Epstein. It was from that moment that a young woman was drawn into a spiral of power manipulation that lasted for years. Donald Trump himself admitted in a recent interview with CNN that Epstein robbed his spa staff, including Virginia. The president said bluntly, "He hired my staff. I told him not to do it. He did it again. I fired him." This statement is considered one of the rare times Trump directly mentioned Virginia, and is also the reason why Epstein was kicked out of the Mar-a-Lago club. Virginia is the first victim to speak out, revealing Epstein's criminal empire. The Guardian commented, Virginia has broken down the walls of power, forcing those who once thought themselves untouchable to bow to justice. Virginia's story changed the world. From a spa worker at Mar-a-Lago, she dared to confront a terrifying network of power, expose the truth, and become a symbol of resilience. The secrets Epstein took to the grave, and how Virginia uncovered them. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell ran their network like a pyramid Virginia Giuffre has described in interviews with BBC Panorama and the Miami Herald. She said Maxwell would approach young women promising massage work or financial support, and then lure them to meet Epstein. Once a victim is recruited, she is often forced to refer friends to form a widespread recruitment chain. According to documents unsealed in 2019 in the Maxwell lawsuit, Virginia testified that this is a closed system operating as a tight network where young women are both victims and tools to find new victims. Epstein and Maxwell not only relied on promises, but also took advantage of familiar contact points such as spa schools, sports centers, and even celebrity parties to expand the supply for this network. As soon as she escaped Epstein's network in 2002, Virginia began to record her experiences. From flights on the Lolita Express, to villas in Palm Beach, Manhattan, to Little St. James Island. She recorded names, locations, and details of encounters. Many of these notes later became important evidence in the case against Maxwell and were used by the FBI in the investigation of Epstein 2018-2019. According to The Guardian in her 2016 testimony, Virginia even accurately described how Epstein arranged a schedule like a company where victims were constantly moving around so that no one would detect them. Virginia Giuffre went door to door trying to turn the press into an ally. Virginia did not remain silent. From the beginning, she contacted journalists, including Julie K. Brown, Miami Herald. It was the 2018 investigative series Perversion of Justice, which relied heavily on Virginia's testimony that led to the reopening of the Epstein case, overturning the 2008 suspension agreement. Virginia also appeared on the BBC Panorama program, giving an in-depth interview detailing each link in the Epstein-Maxwell network. Not stopping there, she continued to use the law as a weapon. In 2009, Virginia quietly sued Epstein under the anonymous name Jane Doe 102. But in 2015, she decided to come out in public. In 2015, she sued Ghislaine Maxwell for defamation. Maxwell denied wrongdoing and called Virginia's account a fabrication. According to PBS, Virginia detailed what Maxwell and Epstein did to her, from private flights to introductions to powerful men. She was no longer just a victim. She became the face of thousands of women who were forced to stay silent. The result, Maxwell settled with Virginia, and many documents in the lawsuit were unsealed in 2019, providing the public with a map of Epstein's network. In 2021-2022, Virginia sued Prince Andrew for allegedly assaulting her. The case resulted in a civil settlement estimated at more than $12 million, marking Virginia's largest legal victory. These lawsuits not only sought justice for her, but also forced the justice system and powerful figures to be held accountable. Virginia also founded Victims Refuse Silence, later renamed SOAR, Speak Out, Act, Reclaim. This organization gives victims a place to tell their stories and receive legal support. According to ABC News, Virginia wants to build a community so other girls don't feel abandoned. She's not just fighting for herself, she's creating a lifeline for dozens of other victims. Virginia Giuffre's legal journey is more than just court appearances. It is an excavation of historical records exposing how Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell operated a systematic criminal network and shocked the world. The 4,500-page dossier, a map of crimes, a list of powers, and the day Epstein's empire collapsed. In 2015, Virginia filed a defamation lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell. According to The Guardian, this was an important legal leverage, because the defamation lawsuit forced Maxwell to confront thousands of pages of evidence provided by Virginia and her lawyers. The case was settled in 2017, but more importantly, 40,500 pages of documents from this lawsuit were preserved by the court, and later it became a goldmine of information for investigators and the press. In August 2019, a U.S. court partially unsealed the Maxwell case, and the world was stunned. 4,500 pages of documents revealed details of the pyramid network. Maxwell recruited girls, forced them to recruit more friends, creating a closed system that operated like a criminal enterprise. A list of more than 150 people was mentioned, including employees, bodyguards, friends, lawyers, and powerful figures who had visited Epstein's home. According to Reuters, these documents are the first time the public has seen firsthand the sophistication and global reach of the Epstein-Maxwell network. Just one day after the first batch of documents were unsealed, August 2, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested at Teterboro Airport, New Jersey. According to the BBC, the documents that Virginia initiated sparked a new investigation, shaking up the power elite that had surrounded Epstein for years. Powerful figures in the inner circle. The names of many powerful figures have been mentioned in documents and testimony related to Epstein, including royals such as Prince Andrew, who Virginia accused of assaulting, settling a separate lawsuit in 2022. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton was mentioned several times during flights on Epstein's Lolita Express plane. Although Clinton insisted that he only took a few trips related to the work of the charity and denied all allegations, the constant appearance of his name in the records still raises big questions. Donald Trump, the billionaire and then President of the United States, also appears in the records, mostly in accounts of social events and parties at Mar-a-Lago. Trump has denied any wrongdoing and has never been charged with a crime, but the mere mention of his name, in the same context as Epstein's, has been enough to cause a media frenzy. Legendary attorney Alan Dershowitz, who defended O.J. Simpson, appears 137 times in the filing. Dershowitz was accused of having sex with one of Epstein's victims, a claim he has vigorously denied and repeatedly claimed was false. Still, his frequent appearances have made him one of the hottest figures in the story. Former New Mexico governor and former U.S. Secretary of State Bill Richardson was also named by Virginia. Richardson denied any involvement, calling it a disastrous mistake, but the name remains on the list, and each appearance adds to the fog of suspicion surrounding the case, and over 150 other names. The list drawn from records and testimony spans more than 150 individuals, including employees, bodyguards, friends, lawyers, financiers, even people who attended parties or flew on the same plane. Importantly, being named does not imply guilt. Many were simply social contacts or happened to be in Epstein's orbit, but some names make the public shudder. Along with the famous faces, the files also contain a series of names of minor victims, but their identities are strictly protected by the court. That creates a circle of mystery around this network, because people only see the surface, while the hidden part remains sealed. The U.S. Department of Justice (DOJ) has officially confirmed that there is no official Epstein client list, as previously speculated on social media. A DOJ representative said that some documents remain sealed to protect the privacy of victims and the legitimacy of ongoing investigations. This does not erase doubts, because the unpublished records still leave many ambiguous connections becoming the subject of constant public questioning. One particularly important detail: Epstein had found Virginia Giuffre while she was working at the spa at Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump's private club in Palm Beach. The event sparked a major debate: who was responsible for stopping Epstein's network in the first place, and who turned a blind eye. Before her sudden death in April 2025, Virginia left behind a powerful will requesting that all records related to Epstein and Maxwell be released. Her family asserted Virginia never wanted the truth to be buried. She wanted everything to be exposed down to the last page of the document. After the sudden death of Virginia Giuffre, the world went silent. American newspapers from the New York Post to Newsweek began to access private diaries and a handwritten letter that was considered the final message of the woman who had spent nearly half her life exposing the Epstein network. And what they found inside was both haunting and heartbreaking, revealing a grim picture of her final months. Diary and heartfelt letter, the final psychological evidence. According to the New York Post, diaries found in her Florida home recorded fear, pain, and indelible memories. Virginia wrote about physical abuse from her husband, Robert Giuffre, just weeks before her death. Accompanying them were photos taken in the hospital, showing her bruised face, swollen eyes, and body marked by days of stress and pain. The diaries also show that Virginia is still haunted by Epstein's network, by calls, veiled threats, and indelible memories. They are always there, ghosts of the past, she wrote. Every time I think I've escaped, another memory pulls me back. These are not just fragments of words, but vivid psychological evidence showing that Virginia's internal struggle never ended, even when she was on the brink of despair. Among the items left behind, Virginia's family found a handwritten letter later published by Newsweek, which was considered her last words. In shaky but firm handwriting, Virginia urged mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers need to show the battle lines are drawn, and we stand together. Is protesting the answer? I don't know. But we've got to start somewhere. She called on families and communities to stand up against violence and human trafficking. Virginia admitted, I don't know if protest is the answer, but we have to start somewhere. An urge for the world not to turn away. The letter also reflects Virginia's determination and desire to expose the truth until the very end. Despite being haunted, abused, and under terrible pressure, she used her last breath to send a powerful, humane message. The diary pages and handwritten letters are not just the last psychological traces of Virginia. They are an emotional map that shows that her fight never stopped. Virginia Giuffre is gone, but her words remain, a reminder that darkness only retreats when we dare to shine a light. In Virginia's dark life, she had experienced some truly peaceful days. Though short, they were still a happy chapter. Virginia Giuffre, life after escaping the devil, and the never-ending journey to find peace. After dark days caught up in the web of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, Virginia Giuffre, a young woman who stepped into hell, finally found her way out. But freedom is not a simple, happy story. It is a path filled with scars, deep wounds, and long sleepless nights. As the lawsuits and investigations began, Virginia, her husband Robert Giuffre, and their 3 young children fled the United States and found refuge in Australia. They settled in the Glenning Valley cairns, and then on the outskirts of Perth in quieter areas, where Virginia hoped the nightmares would be put behind her and her children would grow up in peace. She bought a small house worth about $520,000 and built a modest farm. Virginia planted crops, raised livestock, and learned to live with simple joys: the smell of the earth after rain, the laughter of children. Those were happy days, but they were short-lived. Despite leaving Epstein, Maxwell and that dark world behind, the memories of them lingered in her mind. In one of her diary entries, Virginia wrote, "Every time I think I've escaped, another memory pulls me back. Those ghosts of the past never disappeared. They crept into every dream, every waking morning, as if to remind her that freedom was never truly complete." Virginia's legal fight brought justice, but also huge settlements. In 2022, she reached a settlement with Prince Andrew rumored to be between $3 million and more than $12 million. Virginia poured some of the money into SOAR Speak Out Act Reclaim, the charity she founded to support victims of human trafficking and sexual abuse. Despite having property, a home, and a small farm, Virginia could not cut through the emotional trauma. Her marriage to Robert, once her mainstay, gradually fell apart. Later, private diaries were found, showing that she had suffered brutal abuse. The marks, bruises, pain, and exhaustion were not only on her body, but also on her mind. At just 41 years old, she chose her life. The mystery surrounding death and unanswered questions. In April 2025, Virginia Giuffre was found dead on her farm in Australia. But the cause of death shocked the public. She ended her painful chapter. However, before that, Virginia had eloquently declared, "I will not do anything stupid." Did Virginia choose? Or was there something else behind her death? She was only 41. Her family said she fought until the end, and she called for all documents related to Epstein to be made public. Many details surrounding Virginia Giuffre before her death have left the public uneasy. The bruises on Virginia's body, recorded in hospital photos just weeks ago, show that she had suffered brutal violence from her jealous husband, Robert Giuffre. The diary entries were like a warning, like a sign of desperation that no one had time to recognize. "She's not an object," her brother Sky Roberts told Axios, in a heartbreaking response to Donald Trump's controversial remarks about Virginia being one of the young employees Epstein stole from Mar-a-Lago. Giuffre's family quickly pushed back. She was not stolen property. She was a human being, a victim of exploitation, and a woman who stood up. Virginia Giuffre's passing is not the end, but only a comma in the fight for truth. Her will is like a flame that passes to her family and those who believe in justice. Her family immediately spoke out, stating clearly, Ghislaine Maxwell will not be pardoned. The woman who is serving a 20-year prison sentence and was Epstein's right-hand man must be held accountable. In an interview with Reuters, Virginia's family sent a straightforward message: Virginia has fought for too long to keep justice from being betrayed. If Maxwell is pardoned, all her efforts will collapse. Maxwell deserves to rot in prison. Virginia sacrificed her life so that justice would never be buried, the family said, according to the NYP. They didn't stop at words. They turned their pain into action. Letters to Congress, memorials, mass petition campaigns, all with one goal: to open the entire Epstein files, the unclassified documents about Epstein and Maxwell's network. They forced the government to expose every link hidden in the dark. Virginia's death struck like a bolt from the blue, sending waves of anger and suspicion through Washington. The U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ, was forced to speak up, admitting there is no official list of Epstein's clients, but also emphasizing that a series of records are still sealed to protect victims and serve the investigation. But rather than allaying anger, the announcement fueled skepticism. The Guardian asked pointedly, who is being protected? The victims are powerful figures whose names have never been revealed. This event was not only a personal tragedy, but also a widening crack in the wall of silence surrounding Epstein's network. Virginia Giuffre, the woman who forced the world to look the darkness into the face. Virginia Giuffre was more than just a witness in a shocking case. She became a symbol of truth and courage, a woman who changed the way the world views power, human trafficking, and justice for the vulnerable. When Virginia stood up to name Jeffrey Epstein and his right-hand man, Ghislaine Maxwell, international public opinion exploded. From a young girl who was tricked into entering Mar-a-Lago, she transformed herself into a strong voice for victims who had been silenced. Major newspapers such as The Guardian, BBC, New York Times, and Reuters continuously ran stories calling her the face of justice for the voiceless. Every testimony, every detail Virginia revealed became a hot headline, forcing those who had ignored the issue of human trafficking to listen and think. Virginia's name is associated with the most powerful people in the world: Prince Andrew, former President Bill Clinton, Donald Trump. The appearance of these names in the file shocked the world. In Britain, the royal family came under immense pressure. British newspapers, from the BBC to the Telegraph, called Virginia's accusations an unprecedented royal nightmare. Prince Andrew was eventually forced to step back from royal duties. In the U.S., Congress has been forced to hold hearings on human trafficking. and the United Nations has issued a statement stressing the need for wider international investigations to protect victims. Virginia did more than denounce Epstein. She forced powerful institutions to examine themselves. Virginia becomes a symbol of the Daw Me Too movement. After the Daw Me Too movement, the world needed another face in the fight against abuse of power, and Virginia emerged. Interviews with the BBC 60 Minutes and ABC made her a voice for thousands of victims of human trafficking. The charity Soar Speak Out Act Reclaim, founded by Virginia, became a platform for her to turn personal pain into community action. Not only did she speak up for herself, but she also paved the way for many other victims to find the courage to speak up. Virginia Giuffre is gone, but the fight she waged will not die with her. Virginia's family and allies are turning their grief into political and public pressure, forcing the government to be more transparent, more forthcoming, and above all to prevent Epstein's secrets from remaining locked away under sealed records. The big question still resonates like a warning to the powerful. Will justice be strong enough to break through the darkness, or will the Epstein secrets continue to be buried, protecting those who still stand in the safety of the shadows?